It is 7:33. This meeting is called to order. Annual notice of this meeting was provided to the Star Ledger, Home News Tribune, and Highland Park Planet on January 18th, 2022. Is that right? Yep, January 18th, 2022. In addition, notice of this meeting via Zoom was, notice of this meeting attending in person was faxed to the Home News Tribune and emailed to the Star Ledger and the Highland Park Planet on January 10th, 2023, and was posted on the Borough website at www.hpborough.com and on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, 221 South 5th Avenue, Highland Park, New Jersey, on January 10th, 2023, and has remained 2023 and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Fire exits are located on either side of the room for those of you in attendance in the event of an emergency. And we are commencing our Highland Park Planning Board first annual reorganization meeting. And with that, let's take a roll call.
Ms. Hand?
Here.
Mr. Brusher?
Here.
Mr. Chin?
Here.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Here.
Mr. Hale?
Here.
Mr. Linares? Mr. Millay? Mr. Perlman?
Here. Sorry.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
My name is Clifford Gibbons. I'm filling in for Mr. Thomas this evening. He sends his regards. He's still recovering from his brief encounter with knee surgery, knee replacement.
Thank you very much. Before I turn this meeting over to Ms. I'm sorry?
We have a few more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you finished. Keep going.
Mr. Cosenza?
Here.
Mr. Koch?
Here.
We're good now? All right. Sorry about that. Before I turn this meeting over to Mr. Gibbons, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that our former mayor, Mayor Gail Brill-Mittler, has stepped down as of December 31st, 2022. She was the mayor who appointed me to the planning board back in 2016, it turns out. I had to go back and look that up. She gave me this opportunity. I approached her looking for a way to contribute to this town, to volunteer, to find a role where I could help. She suggested the planning board, introduced me to Kim Hammond, who was the chair of the planning board at the time. It was a great meeting. They brought me onto the board, and I've been on it ever since. And I truly, truly appreciate the opportunity to serve. It really has been a pleasure and continues to be a pleasure to be here. And I just want to thank her in the event she ever watches this meeting back for that opportunity and for having the faith and confidence to appoint me to the board then and ever since. So thank you for that. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Gibbons for the next portion of our meeting.
Very good, if I may. And I echo your sentiments in connection with the mayor, who I know very well through the League of Municipalities and is a stellar public figure. All right, what we need to, we've had this meeting, I want to just verify this meeting is held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act as was set forth in our initial discussions. We are at this point, we're reorganizing the board. And therefore, we will entertain nominations for officers of the board. Does anyone have a nomination for chairperson of the Borough Highland Park Planning Board? Yes, sir.
I'd like to recommend Rebecca Hand.
Very good, very good. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Very good, thank you. Is there any discussion with respect to the appointment? Okay, well then we would have a roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Linares? Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand.
Yes. And thank you all for your vote.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All
With-
right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, either way. With that, we do need a nomination for vice chairperson. Previously, Patrick Millay has served as our vice chairperson. I would put forth that nomination again if anyone would like to second the nomination.
Second.
Seconded by Alan Williams. Are there any other nominations? Okay. With that, I think we can take a vote, please.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes.
Congratulations.
And next, we have our secretary position, which has been served by Alan Williams with great faith for many years, and I would nominate him to that position once again.
Second.
Seconded by Matt Hale. Do we have any other nominations for secretary? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes.
Congratulations once again. I believe the,
So the next slate of appointments we have this evening is for our board attorney, the board planner, the board engineer, and the board clerk. Can we do those nominations as a slate, or do we have to do them individually?
I would do them individually, Madam Chairman,
All right.
Madam Chairperson.
Our board attorney has been represented by Dolan and Dolan, primarily Roger Thomas, and Clifford Gibbons here this evening also assisting on behalf of Mr. Thomas.
Honor and a pleasure.
So with that, I would nominate Dolan and Dolan, Roger Thomas, to continue to serve as our board attorney. A second?
A second.
Second by Jeff Perlman. Any other nominations for board attorneys? Seeing none, do we need a vote, or is a voice vote sufficient?
I believe in this situation, I think a roll call would be appropriate.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes. Moving on to the next position, that is our planner, Chris Cosenza, who is here this evening. From LRK, has been serving as our board planner professional, and I would once again nominate them to continue to serve in that capacity.
Second.
Seconded by Dan Stern Cardinal. Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll call for a roll on that.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes. That takes us to the position of board engineer, previously served by Bruce Koch of CME Associates. And again, I would nominate Mr. Koch and CME Associates to continue to serve as the board engineer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Alan Williams. Are there any other nominees? So we'll call for a roll call vote.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And last on the list is our board clerk, served in great capacity by Tanya Valera. I hope I pronounced that right. And I would continue to nominate her to be our board clerk. Any second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I missed who said it. Seconded by Alvin Chin. Any other nominees? All right, then we'll take a roll.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Perlman?
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Hand?
Yes. And
Thank
that
you.
concludes the appointment of our professionals and staff for another year. That takes us to the calendar for next year's meetings. Oh, here it is. We're going to be doing the setting of 2023 meeting dates and the designation of the official newspaper, the Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger. I hope everyone's had the opportunity to look at the dates. If anyone has any comments about them. Open it up. No comments about the dates? All right then. And any objections to nominating the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger as our official newspapers? Seeing none, I'll solicit a motion to set the 2023 meeting dates and designate our 2023 official newspapers. Anyone? Motion by Jeff Perlman, second?
Second.
Seconded by Alan Williams.
Mr.
Roll
Bru-
call vote?
I would say yes.
Well, let's keep it going. Let's do another roll call vote.
Mr. Brusher,
Yes.
Mr. Chin,
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi,
Yes.
Mr. Hale,
Yes.
Mr. Perlman,
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes,
Ms. Hand.
Yes. All right, moving right along, we will adopt our rules and regulations of the planning board. I don't believe we have any amendments for 2023 to the rules, unless anyone has any comments or questions they'd like to put forth about the rules this evening. None? Then I will solicit a motion to adopt our rules and regulations of the planning board as is.
Motion to adopt?
Motion by Khalidra Hadhazi.
That'll be a roll call.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Matt Hale. We'll take a roll call vote.
Mr. Brusher,
Yes.
Mr. Chin,
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi,
Yes.
Mr. Hale,
Yes.
Mr. Perlman,
Yes.
Mr. Stern Cardinal,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
yes,
Ms. Hand.
Yes. And with that, I believe that will conclude our reorganization meeting.
That is correct.
And so we will close the reorganization meeting and we will roll right into our regular meeting where we have one item on the agenda. That's the resolution, the memorialization of the resolution taken at our last meeting of December 8th, 2022. This is not a rehearing of those items, but rather a verification of whether the wording in the proposed resolution accurately reflects the actions the board took on December 8th, 2022. So does anyone have any comments, questions, or changes about the proposed resolution?
Madam Chair, I took the liberty of reviewing the proposed resolution and it's, I believe it's legally sufficient as to form and content and can certainly be adopted in the normal course.
Thank you very much. Mr. Williams?
it refers, the document refers to all those lots as a study area, and then it sort of goes on, it refers to properties being all meeting the criteria, but there's no link between the study area and the properties.
Okay. Do you have a recommendation on how we could fix that?
Study area / properties would be one possible. What do you think, Chris?
I think the only issue was when it refers to the study area, it does not include lot 36. That was how the original resolution was adopted for the purposes of the study. When we did the study and published the report, we included lot 36 because it was more than likely an error by the original resolution. Lot 36 is a secondary lot to lot 34, so it should have been included to it. So in that fourth whereas clause where it includes the study area plus lot 36, collectively the property, I think it's a proper way to handle it. It acknowledges the additional lot, which we talked to the redevelopment attorney that we can include it since it's the same ownership as any other lots included in lots, so they got the proper notice. So in my opinion, I think it's okay as is. It's important in this case to distinguish the study area as initially proposed, the delineated area as initially proposed by the initial resolution to authorize the planning board to do the study and include lot 36 as separate, and then when you combine it, the property,
Right.
I think this is a proper way to handle it.
So So I don't hear that you're recommending a change to it, but
No
do you have
change.
a change you think would be more beneficial?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no further comments. Oh, Jeff, do you have a? All right, then I'll solicit a motion to adopt the resolution P2022-03.
Motion?
Motion by Dan Stern Cardinal,
Second?
second by Khalidra Hadhazi. I'll take a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Brusher?
Yes.
Mr. Chin?
Yes.
Ms. Hadhazi?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Pearlman?
No.
Mr. Stern Cardinal?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes?
Ms. Hale?
Yes. All right, and with that, motion carries. That's the final item of business the board formally has. Scott, unless you have anything to report about what's going on in town?
Well, with the holidays, it's usually slow, December. But the only thing is that demo of that house on Harrison should be completed by probably Monday or Tuesday.
If no one knows what we're referring to, the Spanish-style home, large home on Harrison that has the secondary mother unit, where the main property had become a bit dilapidated. Apparently, it's almost all down, which is kind of an amazing thing to see after all these years. So we'll see what the property owner decides to do with their property. Maybe we'll see them in front of the board. Who knows? All right, I will take this time to open this meeting to members of the public who wish to be heard. However, seeing none, except maybe Matt, I will close the public portion of the meeting and ask if anyone on the board has any final comments or queries. Yes, Jeff.
I'm sorry, just a couple queries. Under correspondence and reports, maybe you're going to get to it. Do we have a representative on the rehabilitation screening committee?
So not at the moment, we don't. I think moving forward, we're going to end up having to amend the agenda items to, instead of rehabilitation screening committee report, maybe perhaps any news on redevelopment from whatever source it may come from as an ongoing item of discussion if things develop, because everyone I know is very anxious to learn about. Yes, Chris?
I will say to Jeff's benefit, there has been nothing relative to the rehabilitation screening committee, but be prepared for a busy, well, you meet once a month, so be prepared to meet February, March. We're going to have redevelopment plans probably coming forward, as well as potentially Buckwoods.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it on the other committees, other agendas for prior months, and it came back this month, so I didn't know.
I suspect that's just an oversight on our part because, as you pointed out, Kim Hammond was our representative on the rehabilitation screening committee, and since she stepped down, we modified that to redevelopment, and I think this just was a step back from that.
That's cool. And then it's just one query, I guess, one question is in the master plan, one recommendation was to explore the possibility of accessory dwelling units, and so it's been about 3 years, and I'm wondering if it's okay, perhaps the planning board could create a subcommittee of some members to just begin to look at that, look at how other municipalities, how they drafted ADUs, what are the various issues, not to recommend a particular thing, but just to sort of look at how other towns have done it, what are the issues, what are the factors, and maybe a quick, small report or summary of the subcommittee back to the planning board for recommendations and discussion. Can we do such a thing?
So my only hesitation is not that I don't think it's a great idea, because I actually really do. It's that I think the board's role is not to create policies, but to advise if such policies are in compliance with the master plan. So I worry about stepping over the line into council's role. And while I think we can provide feedback and preliminary thoughts, because that is in fact our role on how future council decisions are affected and should be influenced by compliance with the master plan, I don't think it's our role to create actual policies. So I worry about crossing that line. But that being said, if we were to have a representative from council, which we will have moving forward, I think there is a place for ongoing discussions between the planning board as the safeguards and guardians of the master report, and council, who creates the actual policies for implementation of how to make that harmonious moving forward. Is that, yeah?
Yeah, I would just make a suggestion that the Economic Development Committee of the council would be happy to have a delegation from the planning board to have those discussions and to sit down and start that process. So however the mechanism works, I know that the Economic Development Committee would be very interested and very willing to maybe have that be the housing mechanism, and we'd welcome all the support from you and others to doing that, and we could do it through the Economic Development Committee if that's
Can we do
easier.
that? Can we nominate one or two members of the board to help be liaise with the Economic Development Committee for those
I would say
discussions?
a limit of 2, yes, you certainly could. You have a subcommittee.
So Jeff, why don't, this is more of a general statement,
Yeah.
but if there's any members of the board interested in, I'm assuming Jeff, but I don't want to presume, want to serve in that capacity, let me know. And this is something we can talk about putting on the agenda for the next meeting and seeing if that's, a great way to move forward. So let me know if anyone's interested.
The reason I say a limit of 2 is that beyond 2, you start running into the territory of becoming a public meeting, and that opens up a different can of worms. I have experienced success in with other planning boards and zoning boards I've represented, where committees were essentially, we limited them to 2 if we could, a subcommittee of that type.
So Tanya, after this evening, if you could find, or if we as a collective, we can find out the contact for the Economic Development Committee, the head of that committee. Is it you? All right, Matt's here. And find out a little more formally how often you meet, when those meetings are, and then we can put some motivation and emphasis behind getting that done, and have a more productive discussion about it at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, seeing no further comments, I will solicit a motion to adjourn. No, you want to stay? You can't make it.
No,
Motion by Dan Stern Cardinal,
I'll second.
seconded by Jeff Perlman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody. Much appreciated. Have a wonderful evening. Try to stay dry, and we'll reconvene next month.
Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year. Nice to be with you again.
Probably does have to want to stay with us.